Well, my friends, welcome to the Solid Signal podcast for the week of December 21st, 2020. You know, it's a sort of a strange confluence, as it were, because of the timing and the way that these podcasts are produced. I'm actually doing this on December 21st, and it'll publish immediately, but it's also the 52nd podcast of the year, which means that next year starts for us next Monday. I guess you could say that it's because next week is the first week in which there is some 2021 in it, meaning this is the last full week of 2020 and whatever. But I guess it's just more because I'm picky and I insist on having 52 podcasts in a year and not 53, because 53 would be weird. Anyway, so that means it's time to do my annual year in review, which, you know, it's how can you review 2020? How can you review anything about 2020? A year ago at this time, we were just barely beginning to see some very random, very small kind of bottom of the page mentions of a strange flu-like syndrome that was occurring with a few people in China, and we really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to it for the most part. I myself didn't even really give it much thought until, about the third week of January, which is probably about the same time that you did. But that's not what this podcast is about. I want to do a year in review, and it's impossible to avoid thinking about that particular thing, but it's not really what this podcast is about. The podcast is about the way that the year played out. And yes, we can look at the root causes of that. But the way the year played out this year was a lot more focused, of course, on work from home and everything from home. It meant that pretty much your life revolved around your home for most people. And maybe for the very first time, you were working from home and you weren't prepared for it. So you went to Solid Signal and you shopped for things like our incredibly popular GOT-W3 cellular router, which let you do all your work from home without disturbing the kids' ability to learn. Maybe you just bought a bunch of accessories so you could work from home, so that somebody else in your house could work from home, and so that maybe even kids could engage in learning from home for the first time ever. Solid Signal was here for you with things like standing desks and computer accessories that made your life better. This was also a year that you had a lot of free time to watch television, and I think that we all did watch a lot of television this year. It took a couple of months for streaming to really get boring, I think, and you know, they say, what happens when you find the end of the internet or the end of Netflix, which may as well be as infinite as the whole internet. But we found out after a couple of months that there was a place in our lives for live television, for something that just put on and it just comes at us, because we were just frankly a little bit fatigued with looking for that next big binge watch. And there's only so much 80s and 90s television that you can watch before you get a little bit bored. Looking at the year in review, it has been actually a very strong one for Solid Signal. It started with a real push towards some of the accessories that we sell, and it ended in November with the launch of our new website. If you haven't been to solidsignal.com recently, you're going to be pretty impressed by what we've managed to pull off. And there have been a whole team of people in our Novi, Michigan corporate headquarters, or working from home thereabouts, who have been working to get this done for well over a year. We finally rolled things out in the third week of November, and the response has been unanimously positive. Our old website hadn't really been materially updated in a big way since about 2011, which is a long time, and the new website is, of course, completely adherent to all the modern standards. It's mobile friendly. It supports the kind of functions that you want it to support. And that's meant that we've seen a big jump in sales at solidsignal.com, to which we have you, our customers, to thank. This has been a year more than anything else where we can take a look at what we're very glad to have, what we're thankful for, what's important to us. In our lifetimes, there hasn't been a year like 2020. Maybe not in our parents' lifetimes, maybe not even in our grandparents' lifetimes. And if we're lucky, there won't be another one like it for a very, very long time. All that being said, we figured out what was important in 2020. And what was important was finding ways to stay together even when we couldn't stay together. That meant companies like Solid Signal needed to work hard to make things like that happen, and we did. It meant that our teams had to create new processes to make your teams work better and smarter, and we did it. Everybody in our Novi, Michigan headquarters is incredibly proud of what we got done in 2020, especially considering the headwinds that have been out there coming at us. And we're also incredibly proud of you. I'm going to give you a bit of advice that has nothing to do with tech, and it comes really deeply from my heart. Maybe this was the year that you didn't take on those incredible projects you always said you'd take on if you had time. Maybe you didn't clean out the garage. Maybe you didn't lose 15 pounds. Maybe instead you gained 15 pounds. You wouldn't be the only one. Maybe you just took a lot of time for self-care, whatever self-care meant. And as long as it was a healthy way to get through the day, I say that's perfectly fine. Folks, my advice to you is when you look back on 2020, be kind to yourself and the folks who are around you. We've all been through something incredibly difficult. The worst may still be yet to come, but the best of it, the answers that we seek are really also right around the corner. So when you think about 2020 and your own personal year in review, I hope that you'll be kind to yourself, kind to your family, kind to those around you. For everyone is just really doing the best that they can. And all things considered, everybody's doing a great job. That's it for me for the Solid Signal podcast for this week. I guess next week will be the first podcast of 2021. It can't come soon enough. And I hope until I see you or until you hear from me again, that you stay safe, stay inside, have a good holiday season, and we'll all get through 21 together.